That was a much more painful loss, I think, than 95 in Charlottesville.
Yeah, that one was a tough one to
this went on
accept.
Saturday night in Stanford. They're both very tough to accept. But for different reasons.
One of the reasons that this one's easier to accept is because it's just one of many.
Yes, it's 9 in a row.
It happens all the time. Like, it happens every time you play an ACC game.
Yeah, yep. He was. I saw that stat. I know people have seen it by now. He was 42 the last time they won an ACC game. He's now 44.
It's true.
Now 44.
It's crazy to think about.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's where all the like and love and kindness in the world doesn't matter. Like you can say, and I know you have and I have too, because it can sound a lot like things are getting personal when the vitriol raises to the level that it's at now. But with this guy, and there have been people where it was ugly, where, both the person needed to go and we didn't like him.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
That has happened. That's not the case here. Like nobody really dislikes Mike, but that's an irrelevant thing. But we do feel it's necessary to go out of the way to let everybody know. I think people are starting
to dislike him. Like legitimately,
this
happens when you start losing games, and also people get really tired. And we get to talk to Norvell tomorrow. We talked to the coordinators today, and that was interesting. I would encourage everyone to go watch those two vastly different press conferences from Gus Malzahn and Tony White from earlier today that are on our website or on the YouTube Warchant channel. But yeah, man, we talked to him tomorrow. What's he going to say? They're going to keep fighting. They're going to respond. Like that stuff is so hollow, and they're the worst responding team maybe in the history of man. This is incredible. Like they are not that you can't beat Alabama and lose to Stanford. How does that isn't, you don't go 13-0 and 2-10. Like this stuff doesn't happen. This isn't normal. It's normal to have dips. It's not normal to crater, rise up again, and then immediately crater again. That's why. So, and I'll let you talk in a second, Jeff. Give me some runway.
I'll let you talk all day, buddy. That's fine. I have to talk incessantly.
And I kind of wrote about this in the column I wrote when it was announced he wasn't going to be fired. Is what's the best case scenario for the rest of this season? Do they think he could win out?
Nobody thinks that.
What if he did?
Well,
let me ask you a question. I know nobody thinks that. They just lost to Stanford.
Hypothetical.
But it's a hypothetical.
I still want him fired.
If they win out, is that best case scenario or worst case scenario?
Well, I think it's the worst case scenario.
Right. What a crazy time to be alive.
Yeah.
That's what they've done with this decision to keep him, is you're going to have Florida State fans going, oh no. They're winning some games.
We're going to have to keep him.
We're going to have to keep and they're going to be wanting to lose in the swamp. I don't know if people would ever want their team to lose. I don't think you'd ever cheer for it.
No.
But you certainly won't be fired up if you beat that team in Florida and he keeps his job. And that's the problem when you keep somebody that doesn't need to be kept.
Well, what you're risking now is not just this initial anger, and we talk about the toxicity of what Doak's going to look like and the cascade of boos in a half-empty stadium, and people cross lines after they've had some beer.
People might show up to boo. Like I don't think it's gonna be half empty. I think there'll be people there wanting to boo.
Well, the tickets are going to be sold. It's just whether or not they'll be occupied.
Right.
The other problem is, yes, you open yourself up to more ugliness. And that's captured on film. It's captured by cameras. It's captured by the mics. It's captured because you're going to hear things you shouldn't hear as well. And people are going to cross the line. They're going to get drunk and angry, and they're going to be mad that they've spent gobs of money, and they're not the ones that are going to fall into the arms of a $50 million buyout. They don't have the luxury of failing upwards, right? I mean, so this is economically, it's an ugly situation. It does speak to a disorganization behind the scenes that is also equally as ugly, because you can't go, and you and I have talked about this off the air, but we've also mentioned it on the air. How are you ill-prepared at this point for this result when he went 2-10 last year?
Yeah.
You would have had to have realistic conversations about if he's unable to recapture the successes of the previous year, what do we do? Where are we going with this? Who do we hire? Who are some people that we would like to talk to? What's it look like if he fails this year? Like, what if they had gone into the season and got blown out by 40 by Alabama? And then they didn't respond to that because they never do, let's say, right? you would have already been having this conversation. You know, you would have gone on to get blown out by Miami and everybody else that you've been beaten by now. I don't know how they're not ready for this set of circumstances. It sucks. They don't like it. Nobody does. It's a lot of money. All of that's true, but you had to have been somewhat prepared. And I get the sense after yesterday's statement that they weren't prepared.
Well, even if they are prepared, it presents as if they're not. That's the perspective, and that's not good either. Like, it looks like there's two ways to look at it, even though they are stunned by this, just yet another Mike Norvell losing streak, or they don't care if he wins or loses. Like, those are the two presentations to the fan base, right? Like the Florida State fans, the administration clearly doesn't care, because if any game has ever been fireable, losing at Stanford to their backup quarterback when you absolutely need a win tells you everything you need to see. What are you doing? Why are you dragging this on? Unless you don't care. You don't care about what the fans think. You don't care about wins or losses. I'm not saying that that's the truth. I'm saying that is the impression. That's the perspective. That becomes reality. That's the optics of it for many Florida State fans. That's why they were so mad. They see all these people around the country being fired for less.
Boom, boom, yeah.
And then your guy has his fourth 4-game losing streak in 5 years when you hadn't had one in 50. And then and loses to the worst team. It's his worst loss since Jack State, I think. Well, with this, considering the stakes,
got a lot to choose from, but yeah,
you do. We'll get him to rank his losses at some point. They had to know it was gonna the decision to keep him was going to be met with some anger, and I guess I don't understand what the point is, because if you're going to fire him anyway, why rile up a fan base that's already mad to a fever pitch for these next 5 weeks? Unless they think there's a chance. The way Tony White talked today, Jeff, the way he talked, and he might just be presenting again, the way he talked was as if they turn it around, that they will have learned to win the close games, and then next year, who knows what it'll look like. He was talking as if it's not a foregone conclusion. Maybe that's how he has to believe, or maybe that's what he really believes. But that's what I wonder about. Is are they trying to give him a chance to fight his way out of this?
I think they've given him ample chances, and he's failed.
Duh.
And I do. Here's a part of me that I will tell you that I feel absolutely terrible for him tomorrow.
What am I going to ask him?
Well, here's the thing. If somebody hears that and they say, stop feeling sorry for him, man. He's going to have $50+ million. Right. But untenable situations are untenable situations, regardless if you have $100 million or one. It's a bad look. It's got to feel awful to walk into the room, to have to carry on the charade, to look people in the eye whom you respect. I think he respects plenty of members of this media team. And I think he knows what he's saying is hollow and it sounds like rhetoric.
I wonder what it'll sound like tomorrow, because he can't keep saying the same stuff. I wonder if there'll be some mea culpas and some. I don't know if he would admit defeat in the middle of a season and say that.
I don't think you can.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't keep telling me you're going to respond and you're going to fix it, because clearly you can't.
And you can't.
You got outcoached by Frank Reich, who doesn't even like to coach
and doesn't want to be there.
Yes.
And you can't tell people either that you know how it should look. He says that a lot too.
Yeah.
Well, they make it look like that, dude. What are we doing?
I know what it's supposed to look like too.
Yeah.
And I'm not getting paid
on this?
$11 million a year to not have it look like that.
He can't say those things. He can't fall back on those crutches, and because it pisses people off even more now.
Yes.
And there is no right answer. Like, he can't say, look, I thought I knew how to get this turned around. I felt like we had. Clearly we haven't. I have failed. I'm not certain what the rest of the year is going to look like. We're going to do our damnedest to get these kids prepared to play and be put in a position to succeed. I can't promise you they will, because obviously if I could, we would have already done it. We would have beaten Stanford. We wouldn't have lost to Virginia and Miami and Pitt and now Stanford. We would have won an ACC game already out of our last 9. We would have won one of those if I could make it happen. And clearly I'm doing something wrong. I'm efforting to get this turned around. I understand the cynicism and the anger. I understand the frustration. I share it. But I wouldn't sit there and go Q&A, because to me, I think you could just say something similar to what I just said and say, with that, I got to get to work. I mean, what am I going to – What are you going to say?
Now, it would look like he's ducking tough questions.
Except for I just answered in the opener everything you needed to hear from me. I know this is fireable. I know.
And also the black eye came from. Yeah. Throw that in there too. Just be completely transparent with everything.
What are you going to ask? Here, I'll put you on the spot. We didn't talk about this. I mean, but you're good at asking the question that needs to be asked. And certainly, Corey, one of the things I think you do well is...
One of the many. You forgot the word many in there.
Sorry. But one of the things I think you do well is there's a humanistic side to your questioning often. There's an empathy that's implied in some of these questions, I think. And so to me, because you're looking more big picture, you're not thinking about the story that you have to write about the right guard. You're instead looking at a bigger, more totality, big picture. And you want to get inside his head. You want to know what he's thinking. You want to know, well, in a situation like this, have you ever been in a situation? You ask those kinds of questions. What the hell are you going to ask him when the entire fan base wants him fired?
Right.
The administration, I think, would have fired him.
Also, I've written 2 columns already, maybe 3, that he should be fired.
Correct. And that's inarguable.
Yes.
He's lost 9 straight ACC games. They just lost to an sorry Stanford team's backup quarterback, I might add. Yeah. We keep knocking people out of games, and they keep winning. Yeah. It's unbelievable.
Since his 19-game winning streak, he is 5-15.
Right, 5-15. So what are you going to ask, and what would you expect him to say?
I would ask, I don't think I would ask, is he surprised that he's still the head coach at Florida State, although I could, and I might.
It's a fair question.
I would ask, what I'm going to ask, I'm giving away I'm not going to be able to put him on the spot. He's going to be able to game plan.
I want him to have time to prepare.
I was going to ask, so we got this release on Monday morning that you were going to be the coach. When did you find out you were still going to be the head coach? Mm-hmm. What was that conversation like? And see where he goes from there. Because I'm genuinely interested in the machinations of it. Did Alford tell him Saturday night? Did he tell him Monday morning? Did he tell? Because he was having
Saturday night.
He was having a staff meeting also on Sunday afternoon. So if he's having a staff meeting, I feel like at some point, either on the trip back or when he got to Tallahassee, he was told, "Hey, you're good for the rest of the season." I think, but I don't know, and I would like to know what that conversation was like.